weaknesses, this is better, but what if we focused on our strengths and empowered our strengths?
Exactly.
So when we all sat together and empowered our strengths and saw them, we were able to fit people in the right buckets so that they could play to their game versus, right? The opposite of trying to work together when we don't even know what they are.
Exactly, yes. So if you look at the pieces, right, your first goal might be to master prospecting. So then if you're really examining your strengths and weaknesses, maybe your strength is that you're really good with people, but your weakness is that you're uncomfortable bringing up the conversation around business. Like that makes you feel uncomfortable. So you want to look at a plan that's going to work for you that is tailored more to your strengths. So maybe it means that you need to practice scripts. So you get together with a teammate, another agent in the office, and start practicing some scripts around, prospecting and bringing up business. You take bold, right? You call your sphere of influence. Those are people you already know, you already have a relationship with, so you're much more comfortable to talk to them and chat with them first. So by knowing what your goal is, and then looking at your strengths and weaknesses, and then making your plan around what fits for you, right? Obviously, if you're not great at walking up to someone you've never met and striking up a conversation about business, door knocking might not be the right thing for you to do to prospect for business. But calling your sphere of influence and asking them who do they know that is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, who do you know that I should be talking to, is a much easier conversation if that's where your strength lies. Make sense? So we're going to just take a quick peek at Bruce Hardy is a regional director. He's got a video about what committing to self-mastery did for his business. Let her go.
My name's John Clyde. I've been with Keller Williams since 2011. Been a realtor for 23 years, and I'm here to speak about committing to self-mastery. When you think about self-mastery, it's one of those things that reminds me of watching basketball, and you see these professional players and they shoot three-pointers like it's nothing, and you think, oh, that's easy. But when you figure out behind the scenes, they're practicing shooting thousands of shots every day, even on weekends. And then you start to figure if you do that every day, every month, every year, and they continue to do it, and you start saying, wow, why are they so good? Well, they're good because they practice and they continue to have habits around it, and they eventually master it. And I think about Steph Curry, that he's shot so many three-pointers that it would take someone almost 7 years to catch up to the amount of three-pointers he shot over his course of his career. So to me, that's really self-mastery. That brings me to my story. I was a New Jersey State Trooper for 17 years, a dual career realtor as well, and did both at the same time for a lot of years. And I always struggled hiring admins. And I was like, why am I continuing to struggle? And I would get a resume and look at it and say, I got a gut, I think they're gonna be good. And over, I kept failing at hiring an admin. And when I came to Keller Williams, they had this process called, at the time was Recruit Select, which I never really got into that much. But then when career visioning came, I started to really kind of like get into it, teach it, understand it, and I was able to participate in the train the trainer for career visioning. So I was going to be one of the facilitators for career visioning. So it kind of forced me to kind of get into career visioning and to learn what it was about. And I really got attracted to the systematic approach to hiring because I never did it before. I was just hiring by resumes and gut. And as I started to teach it, I started to learn it more, and then I actually went and watched other people present it, and I was like, wow, if I really can nail this, I could probably really get good at making hires. And then if you listen to what Gary says, your first 5 hires, how important they are to the success of your organization. And then, who you get in business with matters. So if I can nail this, I really can have a big life. So I started to really study it, practice it, and from administrative hires to regional directors now that I've been hiring, I've been able to really, I would say, master it by continually practicing it, doing it by myself, doing it with friends, doing it with my wife. And eventually it got to the point where I didn't need to even look at the manual. I was just doing it from being able to, because I practiced it so much. So if you think about your career, what is it that you can do that actually allows you to be really good at what you do, whether it be lead gen or to be networking? What strengths help you and what weaknesses kind of hold you back from being really good at it? Because I know for me, my weaknesses was I thought I can just hire with my gut, and that really wasn't the case, right? I actually needed a systematic approach to actually make the hire. So being consistent and learning how to do career visioning for me really allowed me to be really successful in my business. So here's what I would suggest for you, my recommendation if you want to really get good at self-mastery, right? Think about your strengths, think about your weaknesses. What is it that you do really, really well? Where is it that you maybe fall a little short? And maybe just start to really practice it, have accountability around it. You're already taking the first step. Congratulations. I look forward to seeing you on your path to self-mastery.
So my mistake, they updated the video. So that was John Clyde, who is also a regional director for KW as well. He's an agent and an OP out of Pennsylvania. So with mastery, and as John points out,
My name's John Clyde.
He's going to talk to us again. He's going to talk to us again.
So much mastery.
It's about committing to mastery in what you're doing. So for him, it was the hiring process, right? Practice does make perfect. So if you're continuing to practice it and then get to the level where he did, where you actually then start to teach it, you're getting to that mastery level, right? One quote I really like on this, and you may have heard it before, is progress, not perfection. So just be aware that you're not, yes, you're looking to achieve mastery, but you don't have to be perfect at it, okay? So you're not gonna be a master or perfect at it right out of the gate. So just watch that you don't look at it as that you have to be perfect at this moment, and you need to make sure that you don't let that drive for perfection paralyze you in order to progress to what you need to focus on to get you to mastery. And that one really resonates with me, and I think that's why I was drawn to that when I did this course back quite a while ago. But anyway, it's one of those things that when you look at mastery, you want to make sure that you're evaluating that. It's not going to be perfect all the way through. So the next thing is this is an exercise where you're going to look at where you wrote down your goal, where we did the circle exercise at the beginning. And I want you to go back, look at your goal that you put in that exercise, and then you're going to list 3 obstacles that you think might hinder your success, and just write those down. Now, one thing I will mention about your goal is that you want to make sure that you're setting SMART goals. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's timely, so that you're really drilling down. If it's really broad, it's harder to really set out the steps that you need to take to actually get to that goal. So you want to try to make it specific, measurable, like what is it, when are you going to achieve it by, who's going to do it, how are you going to do it. someone be willing to share one of their obstacles to their goal? I can give you one that came up in our last session, sort of to break the ice. So we had one person say, I want to sell enough properties to invest enough. But is that really a specific goal? Did they drill down enough in it, right? How many is enough properties? So we need to know how many properties do we need to sell, right? And what is enough as far as investing, right? Do you want to invest enough so that you have a down payment on a cottage property, maybe an investment property, maybe it's, you know, an RESP for your child's education to cover, you know, that the university costs? Is that what investing enough is? So you really want to dig deep and get specific. So maybe it's you need to sell 25 properties, 30 properties, whatever it is for you. Maybe you need to sell 30 properties so that you can invest $15,000 a year or $5,000 a year or whatever it is, right, for your specific goal. Does that make sense? So that's sort of tying in that, drilling it down to make it really specific. And it's the same thing, you know, if you're looking at volume, right, and performance goals, right? It's the same thing. You want to drill it back, peel back the layers of the onion to get to the more specific things that you need to do and make that goal specific. Any questions on that? Anybody want to share their goals or questions about setting the goal or any obstacles related to it?
I'll share, I guess, because I've never said this out loud.
I love it.
We're being brave.
It's a big goal. Okay. It's a new goal.
Okay, yeah.
To become a KWU approved trainer by the end of next year.
Wow.
I love it.
And at a time. So
Yes, I love that.
My big obstacle is my own limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And they all.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, I learned teaching on Zoom, right?
That's
And I
right.
didn't really realize, I went out to Sydney last week, and I didn't realize till we were driving there, I was like, oh my God, I've never taught in person. I've never stood in front of a group of people and talked, like, I'm basically a COVID baby.
Yes.
I'm not socialized in, like,
Yes.
teaching in
I
person.
get it.
And it was a small group, great group, but I loved it. Like, it was,
Yeah, that's great.
loved teaching in person. Not that I don't love teaching on Zoom, but it's just so different. You actually can read the room, and you know, and I really liked sort of how I felt after that. And I want to get into more in-person workshops and training. So that's my big goal.
So one thing for you specifically, the train the
Yes.
trainer course that's on next week.
Yeah.
Are you registered?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So see, like we just did a really quick coaching thing right there, right? So for those of you who may not know, I think everyone knows, but Jessica moved into our Market Center Tech Trainer role, and as well as our Agent Service Coordinator role last year. She kind of switched into that role and is doing fantastic with it. But that's a big goal for her to set, because like you said, switching into the role, you moved into this role during COVID, so you haven't taught in front of, right? We haven't had this training room full for a tech session, you know, and when you were in Sydney last week, first time in front of a room full of people.
6 people,
right? But
Still,
still,
it's a lot.
face to face.
Yeah.
Right? Very different.
so yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share before we move on?
I'm trying to focus on prospecting. So I want to
Yes.
achieve 40 deals a year this year.
Yep.
And I've done it through leads
Yep.
right now, and I did that to build my expertise to where I am.
Good.
Now I'm confident enough to go out. Funny enough, I don't want to talk to my sphere of influence. I'm better. I've discovered this crazy ability to cold call, and I cold called over 400 people, and only 2 people hung up on me.
Wow, Nancy.
Yeah, so there's
Wow.
something in the way I do that, and
Yeah.
I was a trainer, but I was also in front of, my job was to be in front of 6 doctors a day, and I didn't like being in front of people, but on the phone I can't sense them.
You're more comfortable on
So
the
I can
phone.
totally engage and make them laugh, and then it allows, so there's something to that. So my goal is to figure out to do more cold calls, but what else and how else can I do it so that I can use this skill that I have figured out that will allow me to get it without tapping into my sphere. I've done that, and that's not what I want to do.
So we have another course called Ignite, which is, again, it's sort of that foundational course. We recommend that all brand new agents take it because it gets you into the right habits. And then also it's a great course for experienced agents that want to sort of revamp, restart, kind of get going. When's our next Ignite? I don't think we've got one. Region's got one coming.
Maybe next quarter. They have one on, I think, just ending soon.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
just ended.
It's typically every quarter, and then we'll kind of slot it in.
Yeah, okay.
But in Ignite, one of the exercises they go through, it's a continual thing as part of the homework, is making calls and prospecting.
Okay.
And some of the exercises are like B2B, they call it, business to business.
Yeah.
So even if it's not your sphere, and maybe you're cold calling individuals, but maybe the next step for you is to start calling businesses and introduce yourself and say, I'm looking to establish a relationship with a landscaper, a home cleaner, a dentist, a doctor, right? And reach out to those kind of people and say, look, I have many clients that are moving here that are looking for, a landscaper. Could I pass along your name? Right? And as if
and then we can start building
that business.
Yeah.
So that's a great course too. And that's an exercise from there. All right. So we'll move on to the next one. I love this one. The 80-20 principle. So the 80-20 principle, this was discovered by an Italian economist, Vilfredo Pareto, and it was popularized by Dr. Joseph M. Jurin, and it has been reproven time and time again. And it states that 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results. So you'll hear it. It's we refer to it very often, but you'll hear it just in everyday life. People will refer to that 80-20 rule, and it's incredible how it does keep showing up. and so there's a little excerpt here from the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book, which is Gary Keller and Jay Papasan wrote this. And it says, in the 1940s, quality control manager Dr. Joseph M. Jurin documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known not as Jurin's law, but as Pareto's principle. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 principle or the 80-20 rule. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to. The idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing your results. It's about having focus. Focus is the key to great success, more than effort, experience, or even natural ability. Look at the highest achievers in any field, and you'll discover that they have powerful focus. Just as importantly, you'll learn that they focus on the right things, the handful of truly important issues that make the biggest difference. So we're going to take a peek at a video. This is Jonathan Dupree, who is from the Arizona area, and he is a regional director as well.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Dupree, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2019, and I've been in the real estate industry my entire life, and I am so excited that you're here today to learn about one of my favorite perspectives, the 80-20 rule. This is one of my favorite perspectives out of the 6 perspectives because it basically helps you as an agent, as a leader, move from where you are to where you want to be faster, to collapse those time frames down. What it basically says is that 20% of your activities are going to generate 80% of your results. I've lived by this perspective since I was a kid. I grew up playing basketball. In fact, I was horrible at basketball 6th and 7th grade. I made a decision I wanted to be good, and I got the Pete Maravich Pistol Pete basketball tapes. And every morning I would do my dribbling drills, I would do my passing drills, defense drills, the skills to help me become a better player. I'd shoot 1,000 shots every single day, 500 free throws every single day. And then from my 7th grade to my 8th grade year, I became a much better player. My 8th grade year to my freshman year, I became a starter on the varsity team. Then I started thinking about playing at the collegiate level. And I knew that I wasn't the most talented player, but if I wanted to have the opportunity to play at the collegiate level, I had to really hone in on what were the things that mattered most to helping me become a better player. And it was mastering the fundamentals, doing the drills over and over and over and over again until I mastered them. Then I got into the real estate business. My mother's been an agent for 52 years, and she taught me, Jonathan, if you focus on listings, you will make more money than other agents who focus solely on buyers. So I made the bulk of my activity to generate leads to get listings. And as a result, I was able to build a successful real estate career. You know, I remember as a new team leader walking through our market center, and I saw one of our agents who was newer, and they were working so hard at creating all these forms. And I stopped and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm making all these forms that will help me with my clients." I told him those forms already existed, and he was wasting his time on the 80% activities that generated 20% of his results. I'll never forget when he finally realized he needed to spend his time devoted to lead generating, to get listings, to write contracts, to close deals so that he could make money. He finally understood about prioritizing his business and focusing on what matters most so that he could end up building the life that he desired and that he deserved. And he still brings that conversation up. That was a shift for him when he realized he was avoiding doing what he knew he should do most to grow his business, so that he still though felt productive by creating those forms. See, as an agent, or you look at as a leader, anywhere in your life, you have to determine what are the levers that I can pull that will help me collapse the time frames and get the results that I desire. Those 20% activities, gaining clarity to what matters most for you in your business. And in real estate, we know it's lead generate, to get appointments, to get listings, to have write contracts, to have closings, to make money. I'm so excited that you're about to learn about this perspective. I can't wait till you implement it. And one thing I want to leave you with is the speed of growth in your business will always be determined by the speed of implementation. How quickly you take these perspectives that you're learning about today and apply them to your personal life and to your business. I can't wait to see how far you go and how much you grow by implementing these perspectives and strategies into your business and your personal life. So let's get ready to learn.
Any ahas from that?
Very simple to switch out of doing the right things.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's funny as I listen to this, I don't know how many times I've heard it, how many times I've ignored it.
Yep.
How simple it is, because it's small steps. Small steps every day make for big things. I speak it every day without realizing I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
I'm really bad for like the example he gave, spending hours on a form, trying to make it all perfect and pretty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I just spent 2 hours.
Yeah.
It should have taken me half an hour,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm too focused on the little details,
Yeah.
even though they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's not your
20%.
20%.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good example. Good example. So as he said in the video, for agents, your 20% really should be your lead generation. So again, when we tie it back to what we talked about earlier and looking at what your strengths are, you want to look at the lead generation strategies that are going to work best for you based on your strengths. So for Nancy, you're that rare person that likes to cold call.
I don't like it,
but
I don't know what it is.
Right.
And that's what I kept saying to them.
But
what is it? Can you tell me what it is?
Normally, right? Most cases when we talk about cold calling, if we sat here and said, okay, everybody, you got to start cold calling, the room would empty. They'd all go, no, I'm not doing it, right? Right? And so, right, you have to look at what makes sense for you. So, in Bold and in Ignite, a lot of it is based on calling your sphere of influence because that's what most people are comfortable doing, right?
The minute I get on with them, it's like I shut down. Isn't that bizarre? But if I'm in front of a stranger, I will just. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
but do what works for you, right? It's going to be different for everyone. Now, there are some people that thrive in open houses. Back when we used to do open houses all the time, they built their business open housing every weekend. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that was their lead gen. They lead gen off.
Maggie talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I don't see the benefit. But again,
because you're in front of the person, right? Yeah. And a lot of the time, that person coming into the open house isn't necessarily interested in that house.
No.
But they are potentially interviewing to hire you, right? If you think about it in that way.
Yeah. Colin said, I would rather door knock in a blizzard than cold call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Funny,
right? So you have to look at what works for you. And now, and Jessica can tell you all about it. Now we have command. And we've got social media, so that takes it to a whole other level, right? As far as, you can do command campaigns, you can do paid Facebook ads, right? And then you're following up on those leads. She just blew my mind with that there is a smart plan now that will automatically go to the lead. You don't even have to pick up the phone and call them anymore or email them.
Get those leads in there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. There's a bigger block for me. Break that block for me. Then I will,
You get cold call leads, you can put them in.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
See, look, see, you're breaking the block.
Yeah.
You're not just a pretty face.
She's not. She's
good stuff from
stuff. So yes, if you're not familiar with that command side, smart plan, like Facebook lead campaigns are fantastic.
And training on Thursday.
Yes, there's training coming up. So yeah, if you're not familiar, it's not too late. You didn't miss the boat. Jump in. There's training of all levels. So whether you're brand new and you haven't done it, or you've been doing it and you want to take it to the next level and put a smart plan in place, like me, then you can do that. Yeah. She's amazing, that Jessica. So looking at the 80-20 rule, right? When we look at 20% of our effort, so that should be what we call our big rocks, leads to 80% of our results, right? Which is, we look at making more money, more time with your family, getting more organized, all of those things. So you want to make sure that you're really focusing and asking yourself, what's my 20%? And am I getting lost in the weeds of my 80%, right? Because sometimes you feel like we get stuck in that I'm busy, and that busy work can sometimes kind of be a bit of a trap in that it's the 80%, not the 20%. Does everybody have that big rocks come first? So just take a minute to read that. You don't need me to read it to you, so I'll let you guys just read that.
Around school, and it's like the one that stuck with me.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't think I've ever read it, but it's true. I'd like it to stick.
All right, so just to summarize the Big Rock story, it basically talks about, it helps you kind of create a visualization of how your time can get eaten up by all those small little tasks, right? Which would be like the gravel and the sand and the water, and that you want to really focus and make room for your goals and your big rocks. So those are the priorities, but you have to prioritize first. And like we talked about, being in the busyness of it versus focusing on what is really going to give you the results. So extreme Pareto, and talks about identifying your 20% and then drilling down and going even smaller to find the vital few of the vital few. So the one thing is an amazing book that talks about this specifically. The whole book is about focusing on your one thing and drilling it down. So this is a little piece from the one thing. While to-do lists serve as a useful collection of our best intentions, they also tyrannize us with trivial, unimportant stuff that we feel obligated to get done because it's on our list. Achievers operate differently. They have an eye for the essential. Left in its raw state as a simple inventory, a to-do list can easily lead you astray. The first thing on your list is just the first thing you thought of. To-do lists inherently lack the intent of success. Long hours spent checking off a to-do list and ending the day with a full trash can and a clear desk have nothing to do with success. Instead of a to-do list, you need a success list, a list that is purposefully created around extraordinary results. To-do lists tend to be long. Success lists are short. One pulls you in all directions, the other aims you in a specific direction. If your to-do list contains everything, then it is probably taking you everywhere but where you really want to go. So the one thing is really good at helping you focus on that, and it'll show you like all of those things on your to-do list that are a could do versus a should do, and then how to break out the should do so that you have that more fine-tuned success list. Really help you focus on what you need to do for your 20%. So the book, The One Thing, it's amazing. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. Again, that's a book that Gary Keller and Jay Papasan wrote. And we have a One Thing course coming up. The date. Do they have it? You might grab it quicker than
July 21st.
I believe it is too. Yeah, July 21st. So we have a course. This is going to be a special trainer that's coming in. She's actually the head of training for all of the UK for Keller Williams, and she's funny enough. She's originally a Nova Scotian. She is from here. She is a former team leader out of Nashville, I believe, and then moved over to Europe to help open and train market centers over there. So we have her coming on Thursday, July 21st. It's going to be a full day course from 9 to 5, specifically on the one thing. So keep an eye on that. Jess will be sending out the info. We will be taking registrations because obviously where it's a full day course, we're going to have, we'll bring lunch in. Where we're bringing her in to do this, there'll probably be a little bit of a fee for that one. But highly recommend it. And she will, will be like a deep dive into the one thing specifically, the whole course. So
Scary.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. All right, so if we go back to what we just talked about, extreme Pareto, all right, and we're gonna kind of bring it back to that same goal we were looking at in the initial first exercise we did. So the next exercise is to, again, write your goal on the top, and then the second part is you're going to you're going to list as many things as you can think of that you're doing or could be doing to make the goal a reality. So that's your to-do list. And list all those tasks. So whether it's personal, professional, write as much down as you can. And then after you write all the tasks, you're going to go back and circle the ones that are actually going to help you accomplish the goal. And the ones that you break out and circle are going to be your 20%. And those are going to be part of your success list. And then from your success list, you're going to focus on the one thing that you need to be focused on to achieve the goal. So I'll give everybody a second to do that exercise. There's the Brita in the fridge too.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me. I did hear you. I just not
Okay, so how did everybody find that exercise? You're able to list everything out? That's no problem making the to-do list, right? That's where we all get stuck there sometimes. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to complete those items, but it means that your focus needs to be on what is going to take you to get to the goal, right? Yeah. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at is called a 411. Is anybody familiar with the 411? I know Jessica is, but it might be new to everybody else. So the 411 is a tool or a worksheet that you can use to focus on your 20% and to help you accomplish your goals. And it's formatted to give you at the top your goal for the year. I'm top of my hands, so you guys on Zoom, you're getting my my miming. So you have your goal for the year on the top, and then it breaks it down to a month and then 4 weeks, and then you're looking at your 4 different categories. So job, business, personal finance, and personal life. So you want to make sure that you set weekly goals that are corresponding to your monthly goals, and then your monthly goals correspond to your annual goals, and then you're making sure that your weekly goals are success lists, not a to-do list like we just chatted about, and plan your weekly goals and activities no more than 1 week in advance to allow for like a change in direction if needed, and set your annual goals so that they can be realistically accomplished in a 12-month time period. And then avoid revising goals set in prior weeks or months to reflect new goals or missed goals, for example. So Jess, can you bring up, they have an example 411 there for an agent. Perfect. So this example, you'll see Mike, the mega agent. Okay, so if you look at the annual goals there. So in the job category for Mike, the agent, he's saying he wants 24 listings sold, 18 buyer sales, 60 quality listings, and 150 listing appointments. So then in business, he breaks that down into sides. So 76 buyer sales, 24 listings sold, 2 new projects a month, 750,000 in GCI, and 200,000 in net profit. So when we're talking about financial goals, GCI is important, but it's also very important that you're looking at your net profit. So, if we follow the lead from Gary Keller, when we see these mega agents succeeding at these incredible levels at our conferences and things, when they're brought up on stage, they cannot come on stage unless they can show Gary that they have a profit and loss statement and they are making a net profit. No matter what the GCI is, it doesn't matter if they're not making any profit. Okay, so the idea is that you're running a business within a business essentially, but you're running a business, you want it to be profitable. Otherwise, what are you in it for, right? You want to be successful. So it doesn't matter whether it's a big GCI, like this particular agent is 750,000, or maybe it's 100,000 for you. You still want to make sure that you're profitable. So we always talk about leading with revenue, not expenses, as a KW motto. And you'll hear like red light, green light. And we talk about this a lot from the market center level. So, because we are a profit share company and we're open book, we're always watching our expenses. We're always really fine tuning that. So, if the ALC says, we want to spend X on this, that has to be voted on by our ALC. And Aaron and I are very carefully watching our expenses and making sure that we want to make sure that we're as profitable as possible so that we are profit sharing and giving back to our agents as much as possible. So it's the same thing that you should model in your own individual business in watching those expenses. We will be having agent financials, the course, next month. June, Jess will grab the date. Linda is actually going to come in and teach that. Linda was our former MCA, Aaron's position, so she's going to actually come in and teach that for us. It's going to be a great course. So June 21st. There you go. We're giving you the tidbits on all the upcoming courses. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you need more info on that, definitely jump in on that course. And then we look at personal financial, so that's monitoring your investments, repaying loan, repay his loan he has there. And then personal, read 1 to 2 books a month, lose 15 pounds, complete a course in conversational Spanish. So those are the annual goals in the 4 categories. And then you break them down into the monthly goals. So for the job, he breaks it down. He needs 5 listings a month. He needs 2 listings sold, 2 buyers in escrow. We don't do escrow here. That's an American term, but essentially pending to close. You can think of it in that way. 3 buyer contracts closed, 15 listing appointments, right, to get those 5 listings. Lead generate 3 hours a day. That's the job. Monthly goals for the job category. For the business category, refine lead follow-up system with admin assistant. 4 buyer specialist closings. Hire a new buyer specialist. 60,000 GCI. Develop investor farm strategy. Teach an Ignite class. And then for personal financial, purchase investment property. Make the loan payment on repaying that loan. And then personal is reading the shift book, going to the gym twice a week. That's going to lead to the losing the 15 pounds. Research local colleges and training centers for Spanish courses, submit applications, right? To learn Spanish as a personal goal. And then we break down each of those 4 categories into your weekly goals. So for 1 week, the job categories: attend 5 listing appointments in the week, close 1 buyer contract, lead generate 3 hours a day. For business, interview 2 candidates for the buyer specialist position, teach the Ignite class, lead the ALC committee meeting, work on materials for investor farm. Personal financial, preview potential investment properties, make loan payment. For personal, read first 50 pages of Shift, go to gym Monday to Wednesday, call local community college regarding upcoming Spanish course. So that is a snapshot for 1 week. So you would look at, what else you would do, whether what you're going to repeat for your next 4 weeks, whether it stays the exact same, whether there's a couple things that are taken off or added, to then meet the monthly goals, to then help you meet your annual goals. So this is meant as a tool to help you break it down so that it's in manageable chunks, and that you can finite look at the activities that are going to get you to the big goal. Because when you set the big goal, it can be daunting. When you look at, for this particular agent, 150 listing appointments. Okay, that's great, but how am I going to get there? What does that mean I need to do a month? What does that mean I need to do a week to get me there? So if I'm going to get 150 listing appointments, I need to look at how many appointments I need to go on, how many consultations do I need to do to then convert it to a listing, to then convert it to the sale, right? So the 411 is a great tool to use for this. There is a blank one there that you can use as a tool yourself, and you can use your goal that we used in that very first exercise as your annual goal, and then go through it to do your annual, monthly, and weekly for each of the 4 categories, and then break it down so that you're breaking it down to those manageable things that are making it a success list, not a to-do list. There are also, if you need any help with this, we've got lots of resources available. There's the sample one here that you can use as a guide. There's lots of other sample ones on KW Connect. If you're in the productivity coaching program with Colin, he is extremely well versed in this and can help with that as well, as can Laura Lee and I. So if anybody has any questions on that, let us know. But it's a great tool to really help you break it down into manageable chunks. And we find that when you write down your goal, it really helps. When you're writing it down, it really helps to keep you on track. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you guys to do. And we'll keep going. So the next thing we talk about a lot in the one thing is time blocking and protecting your time block. So for example, when we talk about how lead generation is the top, your 20% activity as an agent, Gary is very, very adamant that you protect that time block. So they talk about in the one thing, if you erase, you replace. So if you have to move your lead generation, it doesn't mean it's gone out of the schedule forever. It just means you're going to move it somewhere else. And the idea around being able to successfully time block is that it creates consistency. So you're creating a habit. It allows you want to be thoughtful and purposeful about the items you list on your calendar. You always want to time block for the 20% that ensures your success and the success of your business, and then the erase you must replace. So another thing that we talk about often in the BOLD course is that if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. So the idea is that you want to make sure that you're time blocking out those things, not only business, but personal too. So if it's important for you to make sure that you're at home at the dinner table every night by 6 o'clock for dinner, then you want to make sure you time block that, right? If you want to be at your, your kid's soccer game or swim meet or dance recital or whatever it is, you want to make sure you're time blocking for those personal things as well as your business things. So you'll see in the next slide that there is sort of just a blank sample of a schedule. And when you look at what you would have set for your goal from the beginning exercise, and then what you will have put in your 411 to achieve that goal, this is meant to help you break it down on a daily level, what you would need to do. So you want to make sure that what you need to get done gets done. So this would be based on your weekly goals from your 411. And then, I know a lot of us now use like our phone calendar or like a Google Calendar, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be written out. There are still many agents that find physically having it in a book, and I know it seems old school, is easier to manage, to like see it. Now my calendar is on my phone, but you'll see my purple maps book. This is like my success list ends up being in my book. I'm a little bit of a hybrid, right? So my calendar, I had one of the the old school calendars, right? The old,
me too.
right? And I found that was becoming a pain to kind of lug around with me everywhere. And I was constantly, like, if I was in an appointment with someone, I didn't want to, be lugging it out, and right. So it's just so much easier to have it on the phone. So I've got my calendar on my phone, and then I have, my book for my sort of success list of what I need to do and follow up on. And so you have to find what works for you. I know there are programs still that do all paper, and then you can do all digital. And if you're not aware, our training calendar for the office is available as a link in your Google Calendar. So if you're not subscribed to that, Jessica can send Jess an email, and she will send you the link to get you subscribed to the training calendar. So it will actually show up in your Google Calendar. And like, I have an iPhone, and like my Google Calendar is subscribed in my calendar on my iPhone. So I actually have the training calendar show right up, so that when there are sessions that, I'm teaching or I want to participate in, they're already in my calendar, right? So I don't book myself over the training sessions. So this just is a little exercise where you can block what a typical day looks like for you to achieve that weekly goal, right? So, and it's important, I just want to reiterate, to make sure that you're carving out the personal time as well as your business time, right? So it might mean journaling, right? If you're not a journaler, maybe it's just simply writing, the 3 things you're grateful for. Maybe that's how you start the day or end the day, right? You might have a workout in there. Then you're going to have your lead gen. Then you're going to have your, a chance for lunch meeting, maybe your listing appointments, your showings, your presenting and negotiating offers. All of those things, right, can be mapped out in your daily schedule. And it's important to make sure that you're consistent about it. Any questions on that at all? Any questions online? Okay, perfect. So, as I said, for more information about the one thing, make sure you join in on the course. But the other thing the one thing talks about is protecting your time block. And so you want to make sure that you protect your time block from those, from all those who don't know what matters most to you, and from yourself when you forget. So there are some techniques that the One Thing talks about to help you battle those distractions. So the first thing is to build a bunker. So to find somewhere to work that takes you out of the path of disruption and interruption. So you'll see there's a blank where you can fill in where that bunker is for you. So whether that's your home office, whether that's working in your office here within the office itself, whether it's working at Starbucks, right? Some people like to be amongst the busyness. Some people really need that quiet time. So you want to make sure that you build that bunker. We used to have these really cute door hangers that said, "Do not disturb, I'm working on my one thing." And Laura Lee had one on her door. And Laura Lee's one thing is growing the company. So if she's on a call or in a meeting, she'd have I don't know what happened to it, must have fallen off, but she would have that on her door so that if she was in an appointment with an agent and you went to her door, you'd see her thing on her door and she's doing her one thing, she's in an appointment. Store provisions, so have supplies, snacks, beverages you need on hand to avoid leaving your bunker for any other reason than going to the bathroom. I feel like since COVID, this is like a huge thing. Right.
My office.
Yeah. So, obviously what's working from home now in the last 2 years for most everybody, that has changed, right? It's been harder to sort of cut out distractions. Yeah. Sweep for mind. So turn off your phone, shut down your email, exit your internet browser. Important work deserves 100% of your attention. And that's a big thing that they'll cover in the One Thing is talking about how multitasking is not a good thing, and how we've been programmed to think of multitasking as a really great thing when it actually is detrimental to the tasks we're working on, because we're not actually giving them our full focus. We're distracted by all of the things we're trying to do at the same time. And then enlist support. Tell those most likely to seek you out what you're doing and when you will be available. They will be accommodating when they see the big picture and know they can access you. So, I'll use Jessica as an example for this. She is fantastic with tech and training and support, and she wants to be there to support all of you. But if she's teaching a course or helping facilitate a course or in a meeting with another agent, training another agent, then she obviously can't help you at that time. So she's got her calendar, her Calendly link right on our Google Drive, and you could go in and book one-on-one on time with her, easy peasy. And that way it will, and then you're not having that conflict, so that when she's helping someone else, then the same thing happens for you when she's helping you. So just remember, it's important also to think that way when you're dealing with your clients as well. So that, if you're there, you want to make sure you're focused on them, right? If you were in that position, you wouldn't want someone to interrupt your appointment. So it's the same thing for them. So just make sure you're really time blocking that and keeping, we just got to say, build a moat around it, right? Any ahas from that part? Anything anybody wants to share?
I'll just share. I started time blocking, I'd say right after I got back from Texas. I came back with a whole schedule.
Yeah.
And it's like changed everything.
Oh, wow.
Like I have specific times where my calendar is available for people to book, and I know it's those times every week. So I have other things sort of penciled in, or my own time, like just email catch-up time. I have time blocked in my calendar, so that I know that I always have. It's usually the first and the last hour of each day that I have just for myself to work on projects or catch up on things. So it's game changer for sure.
Yeah, and you can do your training, right, and if you know that you are going to devote an hour every Thursday morning to train in whatever it is, or maybe you've got a coach and that's going to be your coaching time, right? You can time block all of that in so you know you have that standing appointment.
I think I've got to time block my lead generation.
Yep.
If I don't, I keep putting it off.
Yep. And the interesting thing about lead generation, one of the early versions of the Ignite course, they actually said when you're doing your lead generation, you shouldn't be doing anything else.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
So we actually had agents that recorded on their voicemail. I'm unavailable from 10 until 12. I will be returning messages after 12 p.m. Right? And they said they found it was a huge change for the better for them. And so people knew, so they didn't get distracted with all those emails and calls coming in during that 2-hour period. And obviously sometimes there's an emergency if something comes up.
But in this job, more than I've ever seen it in any other job, when people want things, they want it now.
Yes.
There is people can't wait. And I get it, because when I'm on the other side of it, I want the answer right away. I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
But I find it's more in this industry than I have ever experienced anywhere else. And it's almost shocking that people can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, it's the digital age, right? Instant gratification.
Yes.
So you have all these answers right at your fingertips. Well, how dare you take an hour?
Yeah.
To answer?
Like I'm right back and I'm saying with a client right now, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I was with you yesterday. So
Yes.
you understand.
I didn't answer my phone while I was sitting with you, so now I'm doing the same. Right. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, step 3 is move from E to P. So this refers to moving from E to P is talking about moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful, and what it means when you hit that ceiling of achievement. So if you're stuck at a certain level of production for months or years, despite working harder or longer hours, that's what we mean by ceiling of achievement, right? Not having enough time for friends or family for months in a row, despite your best time management efforts, right? That's that ceiling of achievement. Being stuck at a certain conversion rate of calls to appointments for the months on end, that's what we mean. So the idea is that change doesn't happen by accident. In order to change or overcome a situation, such as not having enough time, for friends or family, or not being able to overcome a certain level of production, you must be purposeful about your actions, and you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? You have to get out of your comfort zone to change it, to break through the ceiling. So it's inevitable that it happens, and often when you hit that level, that ceiling of achievement, in order to break through it, you need to change your activities. So it might mean training, or further, it might mean coaching, it might mean, script practicing, it could be all kinds of different things, a different activity. If you're doing the same activities and expecting different results, right? So the idea also is you also want to be aware of when you've hit that ceiling of achievement, right? In order so that you can break through it. So there's a graphic there, yeah. Okay, perfect. So that graphic really demonstrates it really well. So high achievers are always looking for the purposeful way, and by doing this, they overcome the ceiling of their natural behavior. So we'll take a peek at the next video. This is Wendy Harrelson. It's going to talk about E to P.
Hi, I'm Wendy Harrelson. I've been with Keller Williams since 1991. Today I'm here to talk to you about one of the 6 personal perspectives, entrepreneurial to purposeful, E to P. So entrepreneurial to purposeful is a way to describe it. Also, easy to painful. Sometimes that may make a little bit more sense in our business, right? So what I'm going to talk to you today is about one personal experience about being E to P, going from E to P. When I was an agent, a very young agent, on a very slim budget, I had to figure out a way to do marketing. How could I get my name out there? So I decided that I was going to hand out cookie cutters on different holidays with a cookie recipe. Made them myself, hand tied them, and I walked a neighborhood and I handed out 100 every single month on a different street. People they would ask for more. They would send me a text and say, hey, I would love to see more of these. Some people would say, why didn't I get these shamrock in March? And I would have to say, you're gonna get something next month. So anyway, it was fun, it was great, it was exciting. But after time, I did it for about a year. I became a little bit bored. It wasn't exciting anymore. I wasn't really challenged. And I started to feel myself getting a little bit burned out. One day my phone rang and it was one of these people that I had sent a cookie cutter to. And they said, I would like to use you as my agent and I'm going to buy a house in this particular neighborhood. This particular neighborhood was at least 3 to 4 times the price that I was marketing, and I was a little bit scared. It put me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I decided, well, become very purposeful and go represent these people in this higher price neighborhood. After I sold the house, I realized that I can do this. So I had to change my whole entire mindset and become more purposeful in my business, not just entrepreneurial, doing what's easy, what's exciting. So I started marketing other neighborhoods. Over time, ran a very successful business. It was very successful as far as more deals, not so much marketing anymore. So I felt a little bit burned out. Realized again, I've got to become more purposeful. I was getting very comfortable. So a team leader opportunity was presented to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, team leader. What a scary experience. Then it's not just about me, it's about everybody else in the market center, creating opportunities, teaching models and systems to these people. So when you become from entrepreneurial to purposeful, you have to implement models, systems, accountability. I really had to think about this decision. Well, I did decide on taking the opportunity. Became a very successful team leader, created a lot of opportunities for other people. And I realized that again, you can become entrepreneurial in your own current position, and you have to become purposeful. You have to wake up every single day and decide, I'm going to be entrepreneurial, purposeful. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. It's just that when you decide to become purposeful, you probably will create more opportunities, not only for yourself, but for others. Okay, so in a brief summary, entrepreneurial to purposeful, E to P. Remember, E is easy, fun, exciting, not so many models and systems. You can actually hit ceilings of achievement. So become purposeful. It might be a little uncomfortable. Might be a little bit painful. You may have to put a little accountability in there, but also the models and systems that we have in this company will get you through that ceiling of achievement, will allow you to move on to the next level. Because at every position that you'll ever be in, pretty much every position you're probably in your life, there's always a way to go a little bit farther. And so it has to go back to models and systems, purposeful, pain sometimes, a little bit of pain, a little bit of uncomfortableness. But you know what? When you focus on that, become focused on being purposeful, you do other things for other people, creates a better life for yourself, your family, everyone around you. So here's my message. Let's go be purposeful.
So the idea is to move what comes easy.
Hi, I'm Wendy Harrelson. I've been with Keller Williams since 1991.
Yeah. So move from what comes easy to what's more unnatural to move to the next level. That's sort of the gist of E to P. So there's 5 steps to getting purposeful, sorry. And Wendy talked about focus there a lot in that video. So focus is the first step, and you want to focus on your 20%, which we've talked about. Write down your goals. Then second is find strategic options. So ask, how can this be done? Are there different, better ways to do it? Find models to follow. So attend training that teaches you how to get where you want to go. Identify mentors and people who have done it. Install systems. So we talked about this already. Time blocking, creating checklists, success lists, and testing the systems to make sure they work. And then bring in accountability. So keeping track with your 411 tool, measuring what you do, have an accountability partner, all helps to make sure you're being purposeful and you're breaking through that ceiling.
I liked her cookie cutter idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's really neat.
Yep.
I mean, I used to make when I was a drug rep in Scarborough, I was the top selling, and it was all the cookies at Christmas. I would make 150 times 4 stack each. Handmade cookies, 9 different flavors. I would start in November. And the only way that you get a cookie is if you come out of your office and talk to me.
That's awesome.
Yep. And I had everyone out of their office, and to this day, this long later, I still walk into some of those offices and they're like, "You're the cookie lady." I would never do it again because I was obviously really driven. But
wow, that's an incredible amount of cookies.
it was, it's insane.
Wow. Okay, so next, step 4 is to make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. So we just talked about that in E to P, talking about training and education as being a big part of how to reach your goal and be more purposeful to get through that ceiling of achievement. So the fundamental behind this idea is that a learning-based individual is someone who's made the decision to use effective learning as the foundational piece for their action plan to develop their life. So you'll see in the graphic there, if you're more ignorance-based, it's knowing for knowing's sake, right? Whereas if you're learning-based, it's knowing for doing's sake. So there's the productivity, which is, your outside result, and then your enlightenment that comes from inside. So, learning-based is looking at it from the perspective of, I know what I know, and there's more to know, right? There's always more to learn. There's always more to gain from bettering yourself and bettering your education, whether it's personal or in business. So there are 4 levels of competency, how they relate to being learning-based. And when you look at the 4 levels, you'll start with level 1, and that is unconscious incompetence. So at this level, you don't know what you don't know. So, for example, if you've never driven a car, you don't know how complicated it could be. And then the second level is if you acquire some knowledge, you move to level 2. So you're conscious incompetence. So you know what you don't know. For example, you start to drive, you might figure out that parallel parking is a challenge, right? And then the third level, if you apply wisdom to your knowledge, you'll call that conscious competence. So that would be when you become proficient at parallel parking, but you might have to really focus on the steps to do it. And then the 4th level is unconscious competence, and that's where over time, with additional practice, your competence becomes a habit, and at that point, you don't really think about it. You're doing it. You might be parallel parking while you're like singing to your favorite song on the radio, and it's just happens. You don't need to think about it step by step. So you want to, the goal is to attain unconscious competence in your 20% tasks to unlimit your success. So that we're just thinking about it becomes habits. There is a book there, recommendation, Talent is Overrated. It talks about that absolute mastery requires staying put in the conscious competence level to continually refine what you're doing and how you're doing it. And a lot of people now, especially with social media, you have this sort of infotainment sort of thing now that comes up where people have the knowledge and they're learning about it, but they're not necessarily putting it into action. So you want to make sure to get to that level, you need to actually be putting it into action. So knowledge for the sake of doing is essential to reaching your goals. Staying learning-based is about achieving mastery, not just understanding. So there's another video here. We'll just take a quick look at that one. That's Mark Brenneman is talking about being learning-based.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark Brennan and I'm super excited to be with you today to talk about one of the 6 personal perspectives. That perspective make being learning-based the foundation to your action plan. See, for some of us, we go and we learn for learning's sake, or you can choose to learn for doing's sake. My journey started back in April of 2003, and 3 days into my time with KW, I ventured to Detroit, Michigan to hear Dave Jenks do a presentation on the newly issued book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Dave that day did this little jingle and I've never forgotten it, and it really became foundational and began to catapult me on my path with this company. And that was, my success in real estate is in direct proportion to the number of people that when they think of real estate, they think of me. For the first 20 years of my professional career, I have to tell you, I can't say I was really learning based. On that day really put me on the path to change the trajectory of my career. From there, I went on to be a team leader and operating principal, and then later on, a little bit backwards, became a mega agent in our company. And throughout my journey, I plugged into each and every educational opportunity I could find. It was family reunion, it was mega camp, it was quantum leap. I can remember getting it from Gary, that talk from Gary that very first time, and how impactful that had been. So much so that I decided I wanted to be on the path to become an instructor, and later on in my time with the company, become a master faculty member. And what I find is being a teacher, and each and every time I have the opportunity to be in front of people, I myself, I think, am learning more from them than maybe they're even learning from me. So that day back in 2003 put me on a journey to become very learning based, and I've continued that for these past 18 years. My hope for each and every one of you is that you find your passion, you find that moment that puts you on the same path. See, we're a company of unlimited opportunities, and those unlimited opportunities come from people that take those 6 perspectives and make learning-based one of them, and let that be the foundation to your pathway.
So, as Mark said, KW has an incredible amount of training, and for every level of production, every role within the company. So you'll see in your materials that there's an outline of all of the different trainings. So we've talked about Ignite as a great one, and then there are some other courses for agents specifically, like the Win with Buyers, Win with Sellers, which we've had here. We've had KWU trainers come in and teach these. We've done them in person, we've done them digitally. The lead gen course, which I think they just rewrote that 3612.3. And then we have the Millionaire Real Estate Agent curriculum, which coincides with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. We call it the Red Book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's incredible, and even all of the foundations and the models that are in that book are still relevant today, and they keep talking about rewriting it and making it more current. But other than the social media sort of side, like that digital side of the business that's evolved, really the models haven't changed that are in the book. So they continue to say they're going to update it, but then they're like, well, really nothing's changed other than social media, like the digital aspect, which is pretty self-explanatory. So highly recommend that. The Leverage series is Career Visioning. That's the course that John Clyde mentioned in his video. So this is an amazing course. It's geared towards helping you learn how to go through the process of hiring. So for any of our agents that are looking to form teams, looking to hire an admin, this is the course that we recommend you take. So the Leverage series is actually made up of 3 courses that they put together as a series. So it's Career Visioning, 30, 60, 90, and Success Through Others. So it's actually a 2.5-day course. And this is the roadmap. This is the model that we follow as leadership when we're hiring. So any hire that we make for our admin staff, they've all been through the career visioning process. So it lays it out very systematically how to do that, how to use the KPA. So the KPA is the Keller Personality Assessment. That is a tool that we have specific to KW. And so that course talks about how you can use that to help as a tool in your hiring. The course gets into it in detail. It's obviously not the only thing you do, but the Keller Personality Assessment is also a great tool if you're looking to add agents on your team, or you're thinking of partnering up and forming a team with an agent. Helps you to know, where, again, identifies strengths and weaknesses and gives you the opportunity to have that conversation and learn more about the person. So if you are not familiar with the KPA, or you would like to do your KPA, just send Erin a message and she can send it to you, and then Laura Lee or I can meet with you to validate it. But the idea is that if you're going to use the KPA as a tool in your hiring, you should have done the career visioning course so that you know how to properly follow that model in hiring, and how to validate the KPA with the person if you're going to do it with someone, so that the idea is to make it a win-win and a positive experience. So anyway, highly recommend that course. That will be offered by region again this year. I've already reached out to our regional director because we have some agents that want to take that. So I'm told it's coming in the next few months again, and hopefully digitally as well. And then we have Grow Your Profit Share Tree, wealth building. We also have the profit share training, which is same as Grow Your Profit Share Tree, which Laura Lee has been teaching monthly. Sometimes you'll see me jump in and teach it. You'll see sometimes our growth committee chairs will teach it. If you're not familiar with profit share or how it works, you want to learn how to grow your profit share tree, jump in. This is the perfect spot to do that. It's sometimes we have like a whole like a formal training. Sometimes it's very informal, more mastermind. So there's always something a little different every time. And like profit share is one of the things that we find a lot of agents forget about it, because you get busy, you're doing your business. But the idea behind profit share is that we want to be in business with like-minded individuals. So if you're doing a deal with someone and you like the way they do business and you think they're a good fit for KW, we want you to bring that name forward to Laura Lee and ask them if it's okay if Laura Lee reaches out to them. And if they join, then and name you as their sponsor, then you've started that path of growing your profit share tree. And for us, this is in something very incredible that we've accomplished here in that we are the #1 office in Canada right now for profit share, and we finished 2021 is the #1 office in Canada in profit share, and we hold that spot right now, year to date, end of April.
I had one person, and then they left. And I was so excited, and then she was gone. I was like, anyway, yes, I saw the benefits for running it, it was such a joy. So I can't imagine multitudes of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I would have ever thought about it the way you just said it.
Yeah.
Just liking somebody and
The whole idea is that it's, the whole reason profit share was started was to encourage the growth of the company through like-minded people, right? So that's the idea behind it, and it doesn't mean that you have to go out and become a recruiter. We don't want you to do that, right? Your focus and is your business, but it's just a simple introduction to Laura Lee, and you give it to her, and she takes over. So this is real money, and it has made an incredible difference. Like, we've got stories within the market center here where, you know, people have been able to put a down payment on a cottage. People have been able to buy an RV. People have been able to send their kid to private school, to university. And you know, it starts small, and you know, your first profit share might only be like less than $100, but it builds, right?
$400.
Yeah.
It went in my account, and I was like,
yeah, and it's always a surprise.
it was such a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, am I getting scammed?
Well, it was, yeah, and
Where
I was
did
like,
this
oh, this is
Yeah.
my hair.
So I haven't got my hair done since.
Oh, no. So it comes on the 21st of the month. So I think everybody sort of knows how it works, but like we close our books off at the end of every month, right? That's called transmittal. So if you come at Erin on, you know, after the 31st of the month, and she's in the midst of transmittal, please be patient with her. She's trying to transmit and get all our financials and books closed off for the end of the month. And so then your profit share comes out, is paid through Keller Williams International on the 21st of the month, following of the month. So anyway, it's incredible. Thank you for coming.
I'm coming back. I apologize that I need to come.
That's okay. So the other thing, the books we've talked about: Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Millionaire Real Estate Investor. The Shift book is really important. Right now, we're starting to see a softening of the market in some areas. There's a lot of conversation around a shift happening, and you know, not just in the States. Toronto is already is experiencing a shifting market there. So really important. If you haven't read the Shift book, read the Shift book. Any shift training that we have going on, we do have a recording from Glenn McQueenie's training that was about a week and a half ago. Was a really great session. And, you know, keep in mind that even if we're not in a shifted market yet, and you know, it's never a bad time to implement the tactics around what you need to do in a shifted market. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to further your business. So that's my point on that. The One Thing book we've chatted about. And then, of course, there's all of the other resources. We've chatted a bit about KW Connect, which is where you can find all kinds of tools to help you in your business. There's samples of the Form 1-1, the GPS. There's videos on those as well, videos on all, you know, listing consults, buyer consults, all of those things. KW Maps coaching is an amazing opportunity if you're looking for high-level coaching. They have group coaching options, which are a little more affordable in that you're doing like a phone or a Zoom as a group. And then they also have one-on-one coaching, which they call their mastery coaching, where you get the one-on-one, you're matched to a coach. They are incredible. They are trained through KW, and I can't say enough about MAPS. So we also have our productivity coaching program here within our own office. Colin Bradford is our PC coach. And he's running a very successful coaching program here locally. So there are options. If you're a new agent, you're in the PC coaching program. If you're you know, a more experienced agent or just not brand new and you're looking for a little bit more support or coaching help, Colin has options for you as well on that. So feel free to reach out to him. If you need his info, let us know. He is at most of our trainings. You'll see him at the monthly meeting. And then, of course, we have our events, our major events and our major conferences, which are Family Reunion, Mega Camp, which is coming up in August in Austin, and that's specifically focused for mega agents. So agents performing at a very high level and offering you the training and the masterminds around that to help you further your business. And then the masterminds is a separate training put on by MAPS Coaching, again, specifically as the title says, for masterminding around your business. So the next thing is just to talk about your learning path and being consciously incompetent, looking at and evaluating what you don't know and what you might need to get further training on, or you might need to read some books on. We have a ton of tools available. If you're unsure where to look or where to find something, reach out to myself or Jessica or Laura Lee. We can help you with that. There's also on our Google Drive, there is all kinds of resources as far as broker training and broker videos. So if it's specific to, compliance and rules and regs, and my goodness, that Form 408 is all we've been talking about, I think, for the last 6 months. There's all kinds of things there on that as well if you need a little more training in that area. And one of the other points just to make before we move on to the next thing is as we start to get more training in person, and we'll always have a hybrid. If it's in person here in the Market Center, it'll be in person and digitally, so that all of our other offices can participate if they can't physically get to the Bedford office. Is that, again, tying it back to profit share is, when we're bringing in some of these high-level trainings and we start to get these trainers to come in person, like the trainer that we have coming in July, it's a great opportunity to also invite someone who you might be looking at joining KW. KW is known for training, and often if they're at another brokerage, they may not be getting the same sort of training that we're getting. So it can be a nice way to invite them in a little bit of a different situation, that where it's something that could be a win-win for them as well, where you're helping them further their business and educating them. All right, we'll move on to step 5, which is removing your limiting beliefs. And this one we talk a lot about in the BOLD course. And I did talk about BOLD in the last of the education. So BOLD is Business Objective Life by Design. It's a course run by MAPS Coaching. It's an incredible course that focuses on your mindset and getting you into the activities that are going to get you productive in business. So there's 7 steps in BOLD. So you'll do it's a full day once a week for 7 weeks. So you would do like a 9 to 3 every Thursday for 7 Thursdays. And there is a fee associated with that as well. We don't currently have a BOLD scheduled on the calendar yet, but we're looking at doing something in the fall for that. So we'll keep you updated if you're interested in BOLD, please let Jessica know because we need a minimum number to actually run the course. Otherwise, we can't offer it. So, okay, so limiting beliefs. BOLD really focuses a lot on limiting beliefs, and limiting beliefs often develop and they look like things like, I don't have enough time, or I can't be successful in this market, or I can't devote 3 hours each day to lead generation. And sometimes your limiting beliefs can cost you. If you're not willing to evaluate and move past those limiting beliefs, then you can get stuck in that ceiling of achievement. So you want to redirect the negative thoughts into positive ones and make them unlimiting beliefs, so that if I put the time into training now, I'm going to reap the long-term benefits in my business. A shifted market is the very best opportunity for gaining market share, which is true. We've seen it. I can't afford to miss 3 hours of lead generation time if that's my future business. So just an example of some limiting beliefs that, we've encountered. And, sometimes it's something simple like, I can't get up early. I'm not an early riser, right? And if you're familiar at all with Hal Elrod and the Miracle Morning book, he has a whole book around that and the system around that, and how he has shown that being an early riser and getting up and getting motivated and into those activities sets you in that positive mindset to then propel you forward through your day. So often you'll have that limiting belief, which is going to hold you back, and you want to really evaluate whether that is in fact true, and you want to overcome that limiting belief. Another one, we had an MCA who shared that she had an investment property and she never thought she would pay off her investment property. And she got to the point where the passive income from her investment property was more than her expenses to carry it. It took about 9 years. And in the end, she was able to pay off that investment property, but she had a limiting belief around that she was never going to be able to do that. So you really, they can come in all forms, right? And sometimes limiting beliefs can come from, family members. Sometimes they can come from people around you, that they're putting they're placing their fears on you. So you have to just make sure you're evaluating that. Because to achieve at the highest level, you really want to examine those limiting beliefs and overcome them. So we're going to take a quick look at a video by Kimber Mankiti.
Hi, I'm Kimber Mankiti, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2007. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today about our 6 personal perspectives, specifically removing your limiting beliefs. Now, what are limiting beliefs? These are our thoughts that can often hold us back from being able to achieve unlimited success. So what we want to talk about is how you can remove your limiting beliefs and unlock unlimited potential. When I first started in the business, I just finished my first year in real estate, and we set a wild goal to close 100 transactions. Nobody in our local market in DC was closing 100 transactions at the time. And so immediately after we set it, I felt sick. I was like, there's no way we're gonna actually be able to achieve this goal. And I realized I needed to look outside of my local market to find others that had already achieved 100+ transactions. And in our Keller Williams family, I was able to identify several top agents from around the country who were very willing to talk to me about what they had done to achieve success in their real estate business, especially so early on in the start of their careers. We went on to really focus on what the activities were that were going to help us reach the goal. This was a humongous shift in our thinking. And so ultimately, we went small to go big. We really said, what are the key contacts, conversations that we need to have as a team on a regular basis to achieve that goal? And when we looked up, by October of that year, we had exceeded our goal by being able to have focused folks around us that helped hold us accountable and who were able to really get focused on those key numbers, which were not the lagging indicators, but our leading indicators. Now, the reality of limiting beliefs is it's not just a one-time thing. So if you fast forward a few years, when I stepped into the regional director role for the Maryland, DC region, I saw those limiting beliefs creep right back up. I had taken a very untraditional path as being a mega agent into regional and then national leadership. And so there were lots of limiting beliefs that I didn't have enough of the experience coming in, that I hadn't followed that traditional path into leadership in our organization. And so I did the exact same thing. I went and started to talk to different people that had held the role, had been in the role, had succeeded in the role, and really looked to understand what they had done to really allow that success to take place. And that piece of being able to identify someone that could walk you through and really transform the idea that this limiting belief was actually something that was inside of me, that was holding me back from being able to recognize and realize my full potential. So I'm going to encourage you today to first to identify a moment when you realize that it might be a belief that you have, that may be one that you've had your whole life, that's holding you back from doing the production that you want to do, from stepping into the leadership role that you want to do. And the second thing I'm going to encourage you to do is look for someone in your world, and maybe not in your world today, that has actually achieved that they've done this thing, they've been in the role, they've closed the units that you're interested in doing. And pick up the phone and have a conversation. Get on a plane, meet them, have a conversation. And then look not just about what they did, but really understanding a couple of really specific steps that they took to achieve that goal that you could implement back into your practice. Because we know when you unlimit your beliefs, you unlimit your potential.
So Kimber's point is a great one in that we have an incredible amount of resources within our Keller Williams family and there's this culture of sharing and helping support each other. So, if, using her example, if you're looking at doing something that maybe is a little bit out of the ordinary or hasn't been tried in the market you're in, use your fellow KW agents as a resource. We've got agents throughout all of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island who are great, and many of our agents are happy to share. If you have questions, if you're a brand new agent and you're in our mentoring program, your mentor is a great resource. Your broker team is a great resource, and then we've got agents throughout Canada that are doing incredible things as well, that are also there as a resource, and many agents throughout the US as well that are very happy to share their successes and what they learn from their mistakes so that you don't necessarily have to repeat them. So don't be afraid to reach out if you've got questions and things like that. And there's often, as I said, I keep repeating the training, but there is often incredible training being taught by these individuals within our own market center, and then as a region within Canada, and then internationally, as well. So just take advantage of that. There's an exercise here. I will let you guys do that, but essentially the idea is looking at a limiting belief you've had, how you removed it, and the success you felt after you did. So this one we're tight on time. So in order to kind of keep to our time, I'll let you guys work on this on your own. But the idea is to sort of evaluate when you've had a limiting belief, what you did to overcome it, and what success came after you overcame that limiting belief. So in the example I used with the MCA, with the investment property, once she overcame that limiting belief and paid off that investment property, she was able to go and use that money to invest in another investment property and grow her investment portfolio to the point where she's got multiple properties now that are generating income. So there's a huge benefit to overcoming that limiting belief. For myself, a quick example, I was very nervous of speaking publicly. I hated to speak in front of a group, and that was a limiting belief that I had, that I didn't think I would be able to do it or would never be comfortable doing it. And through a practice and a lot of training and coaching, I became extremely comfortable doing it to the point where I enjoy it, and I like to be in front of a group. I like to speak in front of a group. I like to teach and train, because for me, training and teaching is helping people, and I want to make a difference and help people. So, right, that's the success in overcoming that limiting belief. So I'll get you to evaluate that on your own. And we'll move on to the last step, which is being accountable, which is very important. And in order to look at accountability, and sometimes there can, again, be a limiting belief around accountability in itself, because people hear, accountability and think negatively, and we really need to flip that and look at accountability as a positive. We don't want to be in a victim mindset. So staying out of judgment for both yourself and for others reminds you to continue to move forward towards accountability. And you'll see there's a great chart here that sort of highlights being in that victim mindset where you're in the status quo versus being in the accountable mindset where you're adaptable and able to change. So when you're in victim mode, you don't sync reality, and there's a lot of ignorance. You're not asking questions. When you are in the accountable mode, you're seeking reality, you're aware, and you're asking, what's the situation? When you're in victim mode, you fight reality, so there's often denial there. Like, that's not the way it is. And when you're in the accountable mode, you acknowledge reality, and there's clarity around it. So this is the way it is. When you're in victim mode, there's blame, often projection. It's if everyone would just do their job, the market is to blame, right? Whereas with an accountability mindset, you're looking at it through energy and focus. So if it is to be, then it's up to me. What do I want? I've got to do something. This is my responsibility to take action and make change, right? In victim mode, there's personal excuses. So there's a lot of deflection. Nobody told me. It's not my job. I wasn't given a chance. That won't work here, right? Whereas you find solutions in the accountable mode, and there's possibilities. So what are my options? How can I get what I want? What can I do? In victim mode, there's weights and hopes. So there's resignation. If it was meant to be, it will happen. Let's just wait and see. We've done all we could. Time will tell. Whereas with accountable, you get on with it. There's an action plan. Let's get started. Time's up. Let's go. This is what I'll do. I was never given a chance. Okay, let's do it. Let's get on with it. So you're taking action on it. Accountability is an attitude and an approach to your entire life. So an accountable person says everything in my life is a result of my choices and actions. I own my life. I own my choices, my decisions. Accountability is a tool for continually changing the results in your life and those areas that matter most to you. So a person who is accountable in their 20% says, I own my life, and in certain areas I want to continually improve my results. I will be purposeful, I will be learning based, I will continue improving. So for accountability to continually change your life, you have to acknowledge that it's a cycle and it's not just a static concept. So we're going to take a quick peek at the final video, which is Mark Weiss, and he's going to talk to us about accountability.
Hi, my name is Mark Weiss, and I've been with KW since 2007. The last personal perspective is be accountable. Why is it so important to be accountable? Well, if your life is a journey, you get to choose whether you're going to be a passenger or the driver. You can choose to plan and work towards specific goals in different areas of your life, such as fitness or business. To me, accountability is accepting that my success, my life, and eventually my legacy will be defined by my choices and actions. Even though I was disciplined as a lifelong athlete before joining KW, I didn't have a system of accountability for business. In fact, when I joined KW, I was going to be an investor in a market center. And the OP brought 75 agents. He was the largest independent broker in town. My wife and I, we brought 14 agents. And we rented an 8,000 square foot office. And as the weeks went on and we were waiting for New York to allow us to open, he came in one day and said, I've got cold feet. And he took his agents back to his brokerage. Well, we needed 40 agents to be approved for the franchise. My wife and I made the decision to mortgage our house and buy him out. And as I'd committed to becoming the OP, I got on a plane or in a car every 30 days to get to training, the training that I would need to become successful. And I hired a MAPS coach. And my coach kept me laser focused on doing what I needed to do to grow the business. I learned how to build a GPS, how to create priorities and strategies that would lead to my goals, how to work with a 411 to focus my weekly activities on monthly milestones on the way to my annual goal. And as I was benchmarking against the top market centers, I learned that all the highest achievers made time to go to class consistently. They all used systems and models in their businesses, and they all had coaches, agents and leaders. Being accountable to my business goals was one of the best things I've ever done. By the end of the year, we were one of the top launching market centers. Now when setting goals, my team always uses a GPS. Everyone has a MAPS coach, and everyone uses a 411 to align their weekly activities with our annual goals. This system of accountability keeps us on the path to our goals so that we succeed together. Through this experience and many more through the years, I've learned that if it's to be, it's up to me. Being accountable is a choice. Some people choose to not be accountable because they're afraid of success. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of feeling uncomfortable, or they fear failure. Failure is essential to success. Accountability narrows our path so that we fail our way to success more quickly. Think of a goal that's really important to you, one that would change your life. What is one thing that you could do to increase your accountability to achieve that goal? Work with a 411. Talk to your team leader about your business goals. Hire a MAPS coach. Being accountable to my goals has absolutely changed my life, and I know it can change yours too. Commit to being accountable.
So tying it back to your 411, make sure that you're looking at what you set for your goal and then all of your action steps. And then you want to be accountable around what you have control over, and really make sure that you're focusing on what you've written down in that 411 as your weekly, daily, monthly things you need to do to accomplish your annual goal. So again, remember you're looking at it from the accountability side versus the victim side. Don't be the victim. So high achievers often have someone holding them accountable on a regular basis. So if you think about it from like a professional athlete standpoint, they've got a coach, and in some cases they've got multiple coaches that hold them accountable. And so it's the same thing for any individual, in that it's a crucial aspect of success in life. There's an example here of Mo Anderson and the people she has that holds her accountable in different aspects of her life. So financially, spiritually, physically, and in business. So financially could be financial advisors, investment advisors, could even be a spouse or a partner. Spiritual can be whatever it is for you. So spiritual might be, it could be faith-based. It might not be. It might be something completely different than that. It's whatever spiritual is to you. Physical could be a personal trainer. It could be a workout friend, workout buddy that keeps you accountable. A coach, a running group, right? And then business could be a business partner, a friend or agent that you've decided you're going to share your goals with. It could be Laura Lee, your team leader. There's all kinds of different people that you can use in the various aspects of your life to help you stay in an accountability mode versus a victim mode. And you'll find that often to get to the next level, you need that accountability partner. You need that person to take the time to, let you report to them and make sure you are moving forward in your goals. So ask yourself, are there some areas where you're missing someone to hold you accountable? And if so, it's time to take action and fill the holes. So look at who you're going to add in your life. So maybe it's a team leader, maybe it's a MAPS coach, maybe it's a productivity coach, maybe it's a script partner, a fellow agent that you're going to, meet daily or weekly to practice your scripts. Maybe it's a workout buddy and you're going to train because you want to do a 5K or a 10K walk or run or whatever the case may be. So the next exercise here is for you to fill in those 4 areas in your life. So you want to look at who you're going to put there. And if you don't currently have someone there, you're going to look at when you're going to add them by and fill in a specific timeline on that. And then I'm going to ask you to follow up on that and make sure that you keep this out. And you're going to, by the end of this week, you're going to look at, reevaluate that list. And whenever you've put that you're going to add that person by, you're going to follow through on it. And it should now form part of your 411. Questions? Pretty straightforward? Okay. Perfect. Thanks. We're moving right along. So without a model to follow, accountability sessions can easily slip into chat sessions where no one's being held accountable and time's wasted. So make sure that you're making it a little bit more of a formal thing. It's not a chit chat session with your best friend agent. There's a set dialogue there. So there's a model here that you can follow to help keep you both focused. So what was your goal? How did you do? How do you feel about that? Based on how you did, what is your goal and what do you need to do now? So is there anything that might keep you from doing that? If you needed training or support to do this, what might that be? So you can role play these questions with your fellow agents, with your coach, with your business partner, whoever that might be for you. But you want that to be something that you are working on with that person, whoever it is for you. This next diagram just talks about the career growth initiative. And essentially, this is just a system that helps you build a business that funds your life. So we talk a lot about the pipeline tool. And in your pipeline is where you'll find your appointments for your buyers and sellers. And then that leads to your listings, which then leads to your closings, which then leads to your GCI and your profit. So to help you track this, KW is tracking all your numbers. So you can find this in your agent multi-year trend, tracks a lot of this, and that's in your My KW. So if you need help to get in there, Jessica can help you with that. But there is a multi-year trend tool right in My KW that tracks all of your numbers monthly, and then it compares to your previous month the year before. So this April compared to last April, what percentage are you up or down month over month, and then what percentage are you up or down year over year? It's a really great tool if you haven't seen it, and it's what we use at the Market Center level to track our numbers, and we are constantly referring to our multi-year trend report, and that's the same thing is being provided by KW for you for your individual business. So it's a great tool and a resource to take advantage of. And I don't think there's anything else to add on that part. Jess, it's pretty, and if you don't have your login info, I think you have to send an email to KW for that.
No, I can give you your username and then you can reset the password.
All right, so if you don't have your username, Jess can give it to you, and then you can reset your password to get into My KW to get all of these incredible tools. And so we're gonna wrap it up. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. But based on what you've learned about the 6 personal perspectives, do you recognize the habits, skills, and behavior traits of a high achiever in yourself? Have you discovered which habits and skills you have mastered and which you need to work on developing and learning more about? So the idea is that all of these, the 6 personal perspectives, as you see, they're all intertwined and linked. So in order to commit to self-mastery, you need to commit to the 80-20 principle, and you have to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful. You need to make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan so that you're always furthering your education and your knowledge. You have to remove your limiting beliefs so that you can break through that ceiling of achievement. And then you have to be accountable to your goals and what your action steps to get you to that goal. So you really need to own what you need to own and remove that no one told me, or I didn't know, or it can't be done, the limiting beliefs, that's negativity from your vocabulary, and focus on the positives. And what I find is really helpful, coming out of the course, is looking at which of the 6 perspectives you feel you need to focus on, and circle that one and make that the one you're going to focus on. So and once you've done, if you feel you've mastered some of the others, really focus on the one that you need to work on. And maybe there's more than one, but focus on the one that you need to work on the most first, and then move to the others. And that way it makes it, again, more manageable for you to make your plan, tie it to your 411 so that you're able to move to that next level. Any questions at all? Do we have anyone still out on Zoom? Okay. No questions? And if you have any questions at all about the tools, the courses that we chatted about today, let us know. Okay, well, we'll take it from your silence that everybody is good. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you have a great day.